Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Whenever someone hears the letters HR, I guarantee the very first thing that pops into their mind is recruitment, hiring and firing, right? People tend to have this idea that HR's job starts with an empty desk and pretty much ends the second a new employee sits down in that chair. But honestly, that common misconception couldn't be further from the truth. So we really have to ask ourselves, what does HR actually do? It's a fair question, and the answer completely upends all of those preconceived notions. The reality is that recruitment is just one tiny piece of a massive, incredibly complex puzzle. If you want to understand how a modern business actually functions, you have to look way, way beyond just filling vacancies. Because the truth is, HR is so much more than recruitment. It's literally the foundational system that helps businesses grow. Behind every successful organization out there is a multi-layered, highly strategic HR team actively shaping the company's culture, ensuring legal compliance, and constantly developing its people. It's the backbone of the entire operation. There's this brilliant metaphor from our source material today that I absolutely love. Think of an organization as a giant machine. The employees are the engine powering that machine, and the overall business strategy provides the direction. So where exactly does human resources fit into all this? Well, HR is the operating system. It runs constantly in the background, making sure the engine is fueled, tuned up, and supported so the entire machine can actually reach its destination. To really make sense of this operating system, we're going to break things down into 4 logical phases today: bringing people on board, growing and retaining talent, looking inside the HR engine room, and finally, connecting the HR ecosystem. All right, let's dive right into phase 1, bringing people on board. Now, talent acquisition is the one function everyone kind of already knows, right? But honestly, this goes way beyond just tossing a job description up on a website. Way before an interview even happens, HR has to deeply understand what the business actually needs. They're sourcing applicants, coordinating these really complex assessments, managing tough negotiations, and building up the company's employer brand. The true goal here isn't simply to put a warm body in a chair, it's to strategically hire the exact right people with the right skills at the exact right time. But of course, that hiring process absolutely does not just end the second someone signs an offer letter. I mean, think back to your own best or maybe your worst first day at a new job. That is onboarding. A structured onboarding process involves introducing the company and the role, explaining policies, culture, and expectations, and making absolutely sure the new hire has all the necessary tools they need. Doing this right actively boosts a new employee's confidence right out of the gate, which, naturally spikes their engagement, their productivity, and ultimately their long-term retention. Which brings us to phase 2, growing and retaining talent. Because the exact moment a new employee joins the team, the need for continuous learning kicks in. Learning and development, or L&D, is all about building up capabilities through things like training programs, certifications, leadership and technical skill building, and broad career growth initiatives. And you might be wondering, why invest so heavily here? Well, business needs are constantly evolving, and an employee's skills literally have to evolve in lockstep with them. If the business is going to grow, the people have to grow too. Now, what I find really fascinating here is the massive shift in how we actually track all that growth. A lot of modern organizations are totally ditching that outdated, super stressful, once-a-year annual review. Instead, modern performance management is all about continuous, real-time feedback throughout the entire year. It lets companies identify high performers early on and actively craft development plans that actually make sense. And all of this ties directly into employee engagement. It's a pretty simple fact of business. Happy employees are just way more productive, and they are much more likely to stick around. So engagement efforts usually look a bit like this: recognition programs, employee surveys to kind of check the pulse of the team, wellness initiatives, team building, and consistent ongoing culture building efforts. The whole point is to create an environment where the staff feels genuinely motivated, valued, and totally connected to the company's mission. And hey, we really can't talk about retention without talking about compensation and benefits, right? Because let's be real, people don't just work for fun. A standard paycheck, your base salary, might actually only make up about 40% of the whole picture. A truly well-designed compensation strategy is a comprehensive package. We're talking 20% in bonuses and incentives, 25% for insurance and retirement, and maybe 15% for leave and other perks. HR crafts this total rewards package incredibly purposefully to attract and retain the absolute best talent in a very competitive market. All right, let's move into phase 3, the HR engine room. So this engine room is essentially a blend of HR operations and HR technology. Operations handles all that day-to-day administrative lifecycle stuff. managing employee records, attendance, payroll coordination, and standard HR policies. Employees might not always notice it happening, but it is exactly what keeps everything running smoothly. And today, this is heavily powered by HR tech. Organizations are using applicant tracking systems, learning management systems, and even AI-powered HR assistants to automate processes, which allows the HR team to work incredibly efficiently. And because of all that incredible technology, modern HR isn't just flying blind on gut feelings or intuition anymore. HR analytics steps in and uses hard employee data to answer the really tough questions. Why are employees leaving? What specific skills are we missing? Which hiring sources are actually bringing us the best talent? By relying on hard data, HR can make highly informed decisions that directly, measurably support business growth. Rounding out the engine room, we have compliance. You can think of this as the absolute safeguard of the entire machine. Every single organization has to adhere strictly to legal and ethical standards. HR is the one managing employment and labor laws, workplace safety regulations, anti-harassment policies, and basically protecting employee rights across the board. This isn't just corporate red tape, it is essential protection for both the staff and the organization as a whole. And finally, we reach phase 4, connecting the human-art ecosystem. Let's actually see how all of this builds together into one perfect system with a quick, rapid-fire timeline of the employee lifecycle. On day 1, an employee is hired. That's talent acquisition in action. By week 1, they are settling in. That's onboarding. Jump to month 6, and they are building skills through learning and development. By year 1, they are growing with the help of continuous performance management. And by year 2, they are motivated and staying with the company thanks to stellar employee engagement and compensation and benefits. But here is the absolutely crucial takeaway from all of this. HR operations, tech, analytics, and compliance, they support every single stage of that journey we just walked through. Those engine room functions are running continuously in the background at all times, making this entire interconnected ecosystem possible. They're creating a strong employee experience while simultaneously helping the business hit its big picture targets. I actually want to read this really powerful quote directly from our source material because it definitively busts that whole HR is just hiring myth once and for all. Human resources is about enabling people, supporting businesses, and creating workplaces where both employees and organizations can succeed. It completely cements HR's true identity, not as some administrative afterthought, but as a core strategic enabler of success. Which leaves us with one final kind of provocative thought to chew on today. Is your organization treating HR as just a simple hiring hub or as the vital operating system of its overall success? I really hope this explainer has helped you to code this massive, complex system, because at the end of the day, when you understand the operating system, you understand how the machine truly works. Thanks so much for joining me today, and as always, keep learning.